Alright, there's 5 people. 1, 2, 3, thumbs up. 4, 5. Actually, make sure that's upright. Good? Am I good?
Yeah.
All good? PowerPoint? Alright. 74 years ago, on July 4th, 1939, a man whose skill set lied on the baseball field much rather than in speech making delivered one of the most effective and inspiring speeches of all time. His name was Lou Gehrig, and in a matter of approximately 2 minutes, he managed to reflect not only his own thoughts of his disease and retirement from baseball, but also the thoughts and mindsets of his fans and the American people during the 1930s. Lou Gehrig's farewell speech included the famous quote, "Yet today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth." Drew upon many strategies in order to convey themes and emotions that, especially during the time period, were extremely important to his fans and all people. Gehrig established himself as a humble and thankful man who considered himself nothing but lucky to have been given the opportunities in life that have been given. Lou Gehrig was one of the best baseball players to ever play the game. He was blessed with an amazing career for the New York Yankees, setting many major league records, such as 2,130 consecutive games played from 1925 to 1939. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and on July 4th, 1939, Gehrig stood before his devoted fans at Yankee Stadium and announced that he had been diagnosed with ALS, or what is known today as Lou Gehrig's disease. According to the CDC, it is a disease that destroys the nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. Statistically, ALS claims its victims in 2 to 5 years, rendering that person unable to move. The man that was known to everyone as the pride of the Yankees on this very day showed how courageous he was by giving a passionate speech to his fans that was filled with sarcasm, emotion, and pride. The backdrop of Lou Gehrig's speech is extremely important in considering why his speech was so effective. As mentioned previously, Gehrig gave him his speech in 1939. At this time, the country was slowly recovering from the Great Depression, and war was imminent in Europe. It was a testing time for the American people, so just to relax and enjoy themselves, people went to baseball games. People looked up to these baseball players, and it was through them they could get away from all the hassles and stresses of daily life. New Yorkers specifically looked up to Lou Gehrig, the Yankees' first baseman at the time, who was always known as a man of hard work, perseverance, and humility. Considering the time period, people were inspired by Gehrig to emulate his such qualities to overcome the hardships in their own lives. Gehrig's speech to the 60,000 fans sitting before him was short but convincing. He wanted to convince his fans that in his eyes this wasn't a defeat. He proclaimed that he considered himself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. According to Scott Kendrick, a writer for Major League Baseball, language was used to manipulate his fans into seeing the good and not the bad in the tragic situation. Instead of speaking of his illness, Gehrig reminded his fans of all the amazing people that he has been able to meet and play for, his loving family, and his record-setting career. Gehrig's reputation was one of a hard-working and determined man, and so his audience already held favor with Gehrig. In fact, the first words in Gehrig's speech is fans. He immediately addresses the fans, and by doing this, he is unselfishly noting that this speech is for them, the people who had always been there for him. Gehrig had established the setting for his speech. Although on the surface it was a retirement speech, it immediately became a speech about being grateful and giving thanks to people who got him to where he was. Furthermore, by his first word as an address to the fans, Gehrig abolishes the hierarchical nature of baseball player, celebrity, and fan, and puts himself on the same level with his fans. Although Gehrig was one with the power, he made an important point that the disparity between himself and his fans should be eliminated. It was his way of giving back to the fans, as well as a way of indicating that his message and the themes in his speech were universal and not just for himself or people of his status. In the speech, Lou Gehrig refers to ALS as a bad break and only mentions it twice. He's trying to downplay the disease and not have the baseball fans worry so much about it. He's lived a great life and he doesn't want everyone to be concerned. When he states, "I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for," it's him trying to convince the fans not to be overly concerned, because life goes on for Lou Gehrig and he was proud of his life. Lou Gehrig was one of the best baseball players of all time. He also gave one of the best speeches in baseball history. At the end of the speech, with sarcasm remarks, implying to the audience that he has a mother-in-law who cares for him more than her own daughter. According to Miss Marissa Scalermo of BleacherReport.com, his use of sarcasm manipulates the audience into forgetting that he even has a disease and focuses them on Gehrig's many great accomplishments. Specific words Gehrig uses in speech have a very persuasive undertone. Words such as lucky, kindness, honor, and strength are used to portray to the audience an underlying message that he will make it through his battle and return a stronger man because of it. Overall, Lou Gehrig's farewell to baseball address was a great speech and carried a lot of emotion. It has been considered the Gettysburg Address of baseball. And I think part of the reason is because the speech was at Old Yankee Stadium. When Lou Gehrig spoke, there was a loud echo throughout the stadium. It really made the speech sound more booming and epic. It gave the speech more feeling, and it made it feel alive. The speech is short, but it seems to carry so much with so little words. Lou Gehrig's farewell to baseball address is a prime example of using a small amount of words to help get a large point across. He thanked everyone who made his life, and he said things no dying man has ever said before. So today, as we remember one of the toughest workhorses ever to play our great game, let us not forget the power Gehrig had with his words alone. The end. Any questions? Any questions? Yes.
When was he diagnosed with ALS?
He was diagnosed with ALS on June 19th, 1939, on his 36th birthday. He was told he would have a life expectancy of less than 3 years with rapidly increasing paralysis, difficulty in swallowing and speaking, although there would be no impairment of mental functions. Anyone else?
I do.
Hey.
How long after he was diagnosed with ALS did he pass away?
He passed away on June 2nd, 1941. It was a little bit less than 2 years after his famous speech. Is that it? Cool. That's it. I'll show you 5 more.